It's time for the chip race.
We're joined now by poker player Chris Dowling. Chris, you're a cash player, you're a PLO player, you play tournaments, you run a casino, you've been a tournament organiser, you wrote for the Daily Star. You obviously have all these different strings to your bows when it comes to poker. Does that help you keep it interesting?
It probably does, yeah, now that you say it like that. If you had asked me beforehand, I probably wouldn't have been able to reel off all them, but yeah, it probably does, yeah.
Well, that's because you're very modest.
I wouldn't be known for being modest, no.
You also won the Irish Live Poker Rankings in 2013, and I know you've been up there other years as well. What do you attribute your live success to?
It's not by design. Like it's just. I think I go to a lot of festivals. I'd consider myself a reasonably hard worker in poker. Go to a lot of things. You know, I'd put in the hours. So therefore, I'm at the festivals. I'm playing the tournaments. I'm playing the cash games, and. That year I won it. I happened to go deep in a couple of the larger. The structure was different that year, and I happened to go deep in a couple of the larger entrant tournaments, and that propelled me up the rankings pretty quickly. And then, of course, when I got close, I went after it, and myself and Mick McCluskey were kind of heads up for it.
Yeah,
for
I
a
remember
while.
Mick was chasing you down. He was. I don't think he'll ever forgive you for pipping him.
Yeah. Well, he was really unlucky, to be honest.
And tell me now, obviously the balance between the cash, you look at a cash game maybe, you know, instead of a side game. You don't play like the turbo side events. You'd be much more looking at, okay, is there a juicy cash game I can get into PLO or maybe Hold'em as well? Why did you make that decision early on? Like, was it always that they just looked like there was more money to be made in those games, or was it more the instantaneous action, the satisfaction of winning a big pot? Is there something about the structure of cash games that gave you a bigger buzz?
I wouldn't be able to put my finger on it. Sometimes I'd overlook a main event for a cash game. It's like, for me to win a large amount of money, like the most, you know, the probably the best chance I have of doing that is winning a big tournament or finishing in the top 3 of a big tournament. But to make a living playing poker, definitely the best way of doing it is playing cash games. Like, I mean, there's no doubt about that in my eyes.
I remember you said to me once at a UK IPT, which you final tabled, I think, over in London. You said something which was very interesting, and I thought it showed a great self-awareness about your game. You said that you were much better in bigger tournaments where players are more worried about busting than in, you know, smaller side events where people don't really care. Could you elaborate on that point, maybe?
Yeah, I think, like, I'd hate to say where, you know, I do better against better players, because that's definitely not the case. I would say that my best attribute is probably taking chips off weaker players and not getting busted out by them. And then when it goes to the bigger tournaments, I haven't done very well in very big tournaments. Like, most of my success has been like the 1k kind of size buy-in, where you get mostly recreational players, to be honest. But
you've had a lot of deep runs in those. Like, you've made a lot of final tables in those size tournaments, and as Dara said, you know, the reason for that is maybe because you're putting pressure on those guys who maybe the 1k buy-in is the very top of what they would play for, and now they're really worried about, you know, you're bluffing a lot, but they don't really want to, you know, call you on that, where they might call you in a 200 event. Yeah,
well, I'm certainly playing way more hands than I would be like in the little experience I have in EPTs and stuff, where I found myself playing very tight. You know, I'm one of those guys at that level. Whereas in the UK IPTs, I'm very comfortable with the buy-in, very comfortable with the, you know, with the bubble, with the pay jumps, you know, all the way up until the final table is where I'd really be thinking about pay jumps. I wouldn't really be thinking about it anywhere else, you know, at any stage in the tournament. I think you'll find out with a lot of players, though.
Yeah, there's an old, or it's not that old, but it's been around for a couple of years, this sort of polemic between the dreamers and the cowards, and I know you would put yourself much more in that dreamer camp. Maybe Doak and I are cowards. I guess for those of you at home, that's more of a distinction between players who are nittier with their bankrolls and players who maybe take bigger shots and go for it. You know, that dreamer kind of outlook, you know, how would you defend that against us? Say we were having an argument about that right now.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I've never been afraid of going broke for start-offs.
I'm petrified of going broke, so that immediately gets me, you know, that puts us in a different camp.
I can't afford to go broke.
Yeah, well, I can't afford to be broke, but but I mean, I could go back to work if I wanted to, you know. I mean, there's always an option there. I could go back. I know I could go and get myself a caddy van in the morning and
no one
put
would
up
hire
a few
me.
flyers and you know, go back doing alarms or something like that, you know. I'm pretty sure I could go back into the workplace if I had to. But like, for me, being involved in poker meant that I had to earn more money than I would have earned if I was working.
Okay.
Because I left a reasonably good job to do this. So therefore, I'm not really interested in just kind of.
Sure, you're not there to grind
like,
out a kind of I'll make my few hundred a week. It's more about taking on those big shots, having one of those marquee results once a year.
Well, there's plenty of weeks I would have just taken a couple of hundred, I can tell you. Plenty of months I would have been glad to be up a couple of hundred. But I think shot taking is fine. I mean, plus you got to remember too that, like every decision you make in poker is, you should be making it like any business. It should be positive. But I enjoy playing the game as well, and if I was working and my primary income was something else, then I might still sit down and play tournaments or cash games that, mathematically you could argue that I shouldn't be in them, but it's still something I enjoy. It's still something I like doing. I probably shouldn't go and stay in certain hotels that I want to stay in either mathematically, but it's still something I enjoy. It's something I want to do. There's loads of different things in your life that you can do.
You probably should never enter re-entry tournaments, I think, either, because your record in them, when you can rebuy immediately. I've just seen you blow up so many times. It's brilliant. I love being at your table.
Yeah.
Maybe it comes back to the other players aren't as worried about going broke.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe the freeze out suit me better. All right.
Yeah, you come from a very sporting background. I know you played a lot of Gaelic football, and I remember once you were kind enough to drive me back from some tournament, and we were talking about changes that you could make to make poker more interesting. And you said you'd like to see tackling introduced to poker. I wonder if you could elaborate on that.
It used to be a phrase I used to come up with that if this was a football match, I reckon I'd be getting booked about now. You can't really do it in poker,
Well, you did to Ross Johnson.
Oh, that was.
He's still out there nursing a long-term injury.
He won't thank you for mentioning that.
No, well, obviously, the argument is constantly made: is poker a sport? And it's not. Well, some people might say it is a sport. Some people will say it's a game. Some people say it's a mind game that has a lot of aggressive sporting kind of nuances to it. Like, where would you place it in that context?
Well, I don't think it's a sport anyway. For me, a sport has to be some sort of, actual skill, be it throwing a dart into a board, even
the darts guys are getting sport.
I think darts is a sport. I really do, okay. and I really think poker is along the same lines as chess, which should never be a sport in my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of think it depends on where you draw the line. I saw a piece that I think Nick Welthall wrote, and he said that the dictionary definition of sport said that it has to involve some degree of physical exertion. Now, by that measure, I think some things that are recognised as sports already, like maybe pool or snooker or darts, might be already treading the line. So,
well, I think it has the same thing as like firing a gun. If you're just going to be really still and fire a gun at a target, there's a lot of visual acuity or whatever going into that. But is that any different to really spotting that this is a good time to like pile all in?
Well, I think that firing a gun and throwing a dart and playing snooker, like it is physical. I mean, you are using there's a certain level of strength. I mean, even if you stand on a dart and play 11 sets, I mean, it's demanding. Like, ask any dart thrower.
They're fine athletes, those guys.
Well, okay, fair enough.
This is just people. This is like cricketers like me who are just desperate to be called sportsmen in some other way because they don't get called it when they play cricket.
No, well, cricket would definitely be a sport in my book as well. Like, no, I don't think we'll ever see poker called a sport. It's just a game, and some people play it better than others.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I happen to agree with you. You another thing that makes you pretty unusual in Irish poker too is that you're very much a family man. You're married and you have kids, whereas most of the guys who are trying to make their living from the game don't have those kind of responsibilities. Do you find it tough to balance the two?
Well, it's a big commitment from my wife when I go away for a long time. Like, I remember going to Vegas in 2009 for the best part of a month, and she said to me when I came back, "You're more than welcome to go anytime you like, but the next time you go, you're bringing the kids with you." And that's the case. But I'm definitely more balanced now than I was. I don't go to everything anymore. And like, even I done a trip last year. We were in Prague, in Amsterdam, in Paris, and like during the week I came home. Like, I flew home twice.
I remember that we were playing that tournament together in Paris, and you came home and went back out again for day two.
Yeah. Where I wouldn't have done that years ago. I would have played every single thing. Would have done every hour at the cash table. Whereas now I recognise it a bit more. So if it's not, if there's nothing on or if it suits me, I'd rather spend the money, come home on a flight, come back over again. Just take up a bit of slack there in midweek or whatever.
And what do the kids think of it? Would you talk poker with them, or is that just like kind of too weird?
They're a little bit young, to be honest, at the moment. Yeah,
they know you're a poker player though.
Oh yeah, they know how to play cards. Yeah.
What ages are they?
6 and 7. Nearly 6 and 8. Sean will be 8 soon.
Well, they definitely have a sense of something then. I'm sure you play a bit of Snap with them across the kitchen table.
Well, to be honest with you, they play Chinese on the iPad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the next generation. That's the generation we really have to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Last summer, you decided you were going to get into the casino game, the Loft Casino. Whereabouts is that?
Yeah, it's a casino in Nace. It's a small club, but it's pretty busy. We've tournaments 5 nights a week at the moment, and we've cash game pretty much every night. But,
is it just poker?
Well, we have roulette and blackjack as well, but it'll be mainly concentrating on poker.
Okay, and what kind of tournaments could people expect to see at that?
There's everything from 25. There's a €10 rebuy on a Saturday, and there's our big game is €70. But the schedule does change from time to time, so you get it on our website, which is theloftcasinoclub.com.
And can people expect the pleasure of playing with Chris Dowling at that?
I'm there a good bit, yeah.
You are? Are you there behind the cage? Dealing with all the money?
Well, sometimes I'm there trying to win back an overlay, but I'm there a good bit anyway.
And trying to hand out tickets down the street, I'd say, to try and get people into the tournament.
Exactly.
Well, look, thank you very much. We do have a quiz, because this is our new tradition. We're going to try and quiz people. So, best of luck, 7 questions.
Okay, go for it.
Chris Dowling's quiz. Who won the first series of late night poker? Gonna have to rush you.
I know the answer to this. I know this answer's wrong. I'm
Will
going to say Devilfish.
Correct. Straight away he's on the board. Which Irish player has final tabled an EPT, a WSOP, a W Coupe, a Scoop, and the Sunday Million?
Must be Tompkins, is it?
It's Tompkins. He's 2 from 2.
Wow.
How many starting hand combinations are there in PLO? Is it A, 180,950, B, 270,725, or C, 348,180?
That's an easy one. C.
It's B. It's 270,725. The PLO expert. We got him. No, that includes everything. Which 2 Irish players won W Coupe events in 2013?
Do I get a half point for one?
Maybe. We'll think about that.
Gavin Nader won one.
He did. Gavin O'Rourke.
And the other one was it John O'Shea?
It wasn't John. It was Andy Grimison in the, I think it was the Six Max
shootout, wasn't it?
That's right.
I should have known that.
Which poker Hall of Famer has the catchphrase, "May all your cards be live and your pots be monsters"?
No idea, but I'm going to throw a guess. It's not Brunson, is it?
It's not. It's Mike Sexton. According to the Hendon Mob, you have gotten heads up 10 times. How many second place finishes do you have?
8.
Correct. 8 times. Roughly 2 years ago, on March 4th, 2013, you wrote your most recent blog. What was its title?
Blogging when you're winning.
Yeah, you see what we did there? Very good. I think that might have been 5 out of 7. That's pretty good. Maybe when we get the recount, it'll be 4 out of 7. 5.5 maybe. Yeah, but that's a pretty good effort. Well, look, thank you very much, Chris. I really enjoyed that. That was good fun.
Thanks, Chris.